think it's just taking a minute to... Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 99 of the ATL Falcons UK podcast. Another victory Monday, another very tasty win, another heart attack game of football, as always, from the Falcons, making it a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. But we're here. We're going to review the Cowboys game. We're going to start off Hate Week nice and early with some Aints content, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. But this week, I have Liam and Mark with me. Cal is absent without leave, but I have no doubt he'll be in the comments any moment now saying I'm at work. So, boys, 6-3, top of the NFC South. A possibly comfortable win against the Cowboys, even though the scoreline doesn't really dictate that. Liam, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, good. We were pretty good for most of that game. On both sides of the ball, we were pretty strong. We saw some interesting stuff in a couple of areas, like in the pass rush and stuff that we hadn't seen in recent weeks. That was good. Some standout performances. Like I say, it was maybe a bit closer than it could have been. I think we could have put the screw on a little bit and probably, beat them a little bit more comfortably. But ultimately, we did what we needed to do. They've still got threats, and even though sort of like a few players dropped out for them, and actually Cooper Rush and stuff did quite well, so we handled it well. Another standout performance from Mooney. Obviously, we lost London pretty early, which could have had a big negative impact. Maybe if he was still on the field, that's where maybe a few more of our points could have come from. But great win, 6-3. Division's looking, I'm not going to say tied up, but we're in a strong position. So yeah, I think
never say it's tied up. That is an awful
just a strong
idea.
Just got a strong position for now.
Mark would have blocked me for less than that. But no, you're right. We're in
I was about to jump position.
In there. Go on.
Yeah.
If we win next week, I'm saying it.
Because you know how much I don't like your jinxy behavior. But I guess from my point of view, another kind of felt like a strong performance throughout. I think we managed to get a bit more pressure on the quarterback, which was very, very refreshing. We controlled for most of the game. There was still, some defensive ineptitudes that we could have done without. But yeah, overall, like we've talked about it a few times over the course of this season. And I think one of the big things for me is it's always next man up, right? So London goes out, Ray gets a touchdown. Like it's the epitome of this team to see kind of everyone being utilized. So, from my point of view, another kind of round pegs and round holes, like where we were pushing towards late in the game, and that Algier touchdown just kind of summed it up for me. Like used the right piece at the right time. Again, some brilliant blocking overall. Like how much I love my linemen, and it was just great to watch. Offense just really feels like it's clicking. So just need that defense to click a little bit more to stop these heart attack games. But very, very happy.
Nice. I completely agree. The offense is just smooth sailing at the minute. Like I can't knock it too much. And the defense, obviously we got the 3 sacks on the board, which was equivalent to 50% of our sacks that we've had all season so far. So that wasn't a bad showing. But yeah, still somehow go 2 scores ahead. go for the 2-pointer or not go for the 2-pointer or whatever on earth happened in that play. And as soon as that happened, I did have a little bit of, oh no, not again. And I watched it with a Cowboys fan as well, so it had me on edge that little bit more because he could sense that I was nervous, and therefore he got confident. And I thought, no, don't you be feeling good about it. That's not how this goes. But no, very, very tidy overall. Obviously, some big performances. In the absence, like you said, Drake London out pretty early. Grady going off, and a little bit later in the game, AJ Terrell going off as well. Thankfully, touch wood, it sounds like all are pretty steady from what I've read so far. So it is nothing too detrimental to our season. But yeah, all in all, pretty promising. Be rude not to mention Mr. Cousins again a little bit, just to give him another little shout out. How are you both feeling about him as the weeks are going on?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing what we kind of expect him to do, I would guess. Like, he's playing at a high level. We paid money for somebody to play at a high level with the experience, and that's kind of what he's doing. Like, he's making the throws that he should make, and he's making some really good throws mixed in with that. There's a couple of errors here and there, but nothing that is going to impact a game to the point where he's not overcoming it with the good stuff. So I think he's finding he's got a very good connection with Mooney, and I think the London one is actually developing over the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks in particular. Pitts has started to obviously receive the ball a little bit. Even Ray McLeod has obviously got some getting some targets and stuff when needed. Overall, is that's what is a good powerful offense, is where you've got those options to go to, and you haven't got sort of just one guy to focus on. We're just spreading the ball about nicely, and I'm seeing a lot of not so much in terms of what Cousins. This is more to do with Zach Robinson. Is that he's these swing passes to Bijan that we've been using more and more. That's just the most LA Rams thing I've ever seen. When what they used to keep doing with Karen Williams was that exactly that, was they just swing it out wide, put the blockers out, put Pitts out into a block, and then let somebody who's got a good jolt of speed and juke ability to try and beat one or two guys, and you've got 15 yards. And we're using that more and more and more as this games go on. And I just recognised it instantly from what I used to like about the Rams when he first came over. I was like, oh, that'd be good, because we just never had that, did we? We used to just roll up the middle, or we just never we used them as a receiver, but it was always a check down, not an actual design play. And these are very clearly designed plays where if you're throwing the ball out wide early, you've got enough time for the blocks to hold. Obviously, if it's a check down, usually he's going 1 read, 2 reads, then checking down, and by the time you've checked down, you've lost probably 1 or 2 blocks further up the field, and it doesn't go very far. But these are design plays, and it's really good to see. I think it's just such a weapon with somebody like Bijan, who's in open space. He's just one of the best in the NFL. So it's great.
Yeah, you kind of you took the words out of my mouth about those swing passes to Bijan. That was one of the things that I was gonna highlight. It just feels like they're using our weapons as they're supposed to be used, and I think it is a testament to what Zach Robinson's doing. But again, the game management from Kirk is just why you pay him that money, and I think that the Ray touchdown was quite obvious of that. Everything was going on that left side of the field. He looked again, he looked into the middle, seeing that Ray was on his route. It was probably about his 4th read by that point. And to make that pass as clean as he did, just shows the difference of having a guy who's been there, done it before. So far, say that, touch wood, but so far, the one thing that we said at the beginning of the season was got to protect him. You've got to make sure that he stays upright as much as possible. I know the Cowboys are always going to get pressure on you, and we've seen that a couple of times in this game. But even still, I think the O-line are doing exactly what they need to do to give Kirk as much time as humanly possible. And how many times did we see it, in times gone by with Desmond, God bless him, who just stood in the pocket and didn't really know how to make those reads. So it's testament to Kirk. We are now entering Kirk-vember, and Kirk-vember tends to go very, very similarly to Kirktober. So long may it continue. And just to your point there, Danny, I think it's really it's really good that we're taking those kind of big players off to go, look, guys, again, next man up, chill for this game because we need you. We need you next week. All aboard the Kirko Chains train.
Absolutely. Just in regards to the players being able to be taken off for precautionary measures, that is just a luxury we've not really been afforded in recent years because either our wins and losses haven't allowed it, meaning that every game has absolutely been crucial no matter what, because we've pretty much either always been negative or just about evens, meaning that everything mattered. And also the roster work that has been done behind the scenes has evidently been well worth the value. We were a little bit skeptical about some of the players that we've brought on board, and ultimately I don't really think there's a player that's let us down as such. I'd argue a lot of players are overperforming at the moment in time, and long may that continue. You look like you're going to say someone's underperforming, Mark, but ignore me if I'm wrong.
Well, no. I think it's. I'll go back to an analogy I used 5 minutes ago. It's round pegs, round holes, right? So players look really good in a scheme that fits them, right? And I think even in certain places in the defense, although we've been relatively, I don't want to say super critical, but we've there's been things that I think have been probably worth criticizing. But there are times where you have to go, this player suits this scheme, right? And I think, rather than going, he's really good, let's go and get him, they've gone, right, we need a specific kind of player that plays in a specific kind of way to work with the scheme. And I think, Mooney probably stands out to be the one for me, and another player who, arguably deserves the most kudos this week. Caden Ellis. I remember when we picked him up from the Saints, and everyone was like, "Nah, that's an overpay." It's this linebacker, like what? But you can't deny that guy has been an absolute stalwart in that defense all season long, and probably has been one of the reasons that the defenses have held firm in some of these games. So, and he was absolutely phenomenal yesterday. So I just think, kind of kudos to Terry and the front office for getting the right people in the right places on the right deals.
Absolutely. Match ball for Ellis as well, which makes a nice change from it being a luxury player, so to speak. And of course, I don't know what platform everyone's watching on, but somewhere there's a thumbnail, and it's obviously Ellis, finger in the sky. Well deserved. That's obviously more value to him than the match ball being on our thumbnail for the show.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Yeah. Obviously he's watching right now. Standard. We will jump into the comments a second because I have avoided them so far. As I said, Cal would be in the comments, no doubt about that. That was not me, that was him. But factual information, at the moment in time, we do own the South. One that we'll use as a talking point, actually, so we'll keep it up. Do you think the pressure on the quarterback was more from a change in scheme or their O-line? Because we have been very critical about the amount of pressure that we've been putting on quarterbacks. Definitely critical on the amount of sacks that we've got across the season so far. It was 6 across the first 8 games, which is abysmal, 32nd in the league. What changed this week?
It definitely felt like they brought more pressure. I mean, I don't know because I haven't seen the pressure stats, but I mean, and we've seen almost the dangers of it as well, right? Because I think there was one where Dak managed to he didn't have any reads and literally just scrambled out towards the left, and it was wide open, right? So it's always the risk that you bring that your pressure doesn't get to the quarterback as desired, right? So, but everything I saw, it did feel like we were trying to get at him a little bit more. I think that was schemed, and I think that might have been schemed because the Cowboys don't necessarily have a hugely prolific O-line at the moment. I think it's fair to say. So, you target your weak points, right? So I think I'd like to think that will continue, but again, I said it last week, mate, like we're 6-3 now and kind of go, yeah, we're the worst for sacks in the NFL, but we're
wins are wins. Absolutely. I'll throw this one over to Liam because it's a continuation of the above, really. We did discuss it last week. And just to summarize for anyone that didn't catch it last week, we're not, as a group, we're not all in on having to get a new pass rush, unless they are going to be influential enough to make the value worth it, really. But there has been a few different names touted in the space of this week since the last show. So, Liam, have you got a man that you'd acquire before tomorrow? Bear in mind.
I'm about to say we haven't really got exactly a lot of time, have we? I mean, obviously, Ojulari is the one that has got the credentials from ability-wise to have something. Quite a lot of injury issues. I don't think he's really completed a season or whatever, or even a decent string of games without some kind of injury. But when he is playing, he's producing pretty well. I'm pretty sure he's got 6 sacks or something this season.
Yeah, 6.5. I think I'd seen. So it's not.
I don't know how many were
injury-prone player, is it?
I don't know how many were in that one game, or it was the play. Was it it was the play that we got about 11 sacks or something between them. I can't remember who it was, but they got a ridiculous amount of sacks in one game. He probably got about 4 of them in that. But he's somebody who's obviously was highly touted coming out of college, and has delivered when healthy. But obviously, when there's health concerns, there's it's a bit of a risk from a contract perspective. But if there was some sort of friendly deal we could do that, we could sort of get out of if we felt it wasn't going to work out with his health, I would be all for it. Because I think if he stayed healthy, yes, I think the skiing is probably still the main issue, but there's no doubt he would add another layer to that pass rush and open up some avenues. But I think we need to. The main thing is I think we need to see more from Judon. I don't think he's doing enough for sort of his reputation, and I think he said a lot of things on Twitter today about lack of effort and stuff from him. I haven't really watched him individually on loads of plays, but supposedly there was a lot of talk today that he was basically just not putting it in on a lot of plays, which is not something you can do as a pass rusher. I don't know if that's the case, but if it was the case, then he's going to have to up that, because it's all about effort on that pass rush, and we know he's got the abilities to put up numbers in recent years to do it. So maybe there's more to come from him.
I think as an alternative perspective, it's a little bit of a tricky one as well, because obviously he's coming off the back of an injury. He's not getting any younger. He's in new settings and new foundations in terms of the scheme. So there's a lot of moving parts. Again, I'm not gonna say he is or isn't putting the effort in. That is absolutely not for me to say, because in the 0.01% chance he's watching this, I don't want to get beat up. But a lot has changed since his peak seasons where he was getting sacks like they were going out of fashion. Is it just on him? It's hard for us to determine, I think.
Well, I think we have to look and go, would we have signed him if Braylon Trice had got injured?
Probably not.
So maybe not, right? I think this time of year, you look at who's getting shopped, right? And if we think about, I think Montez Sweat went for a third, if I remember rightly. Would I give up a third for a youngish pass rusher? Yes, okay. Injury issues. I mean, you kind of have to remember he's been playing at MetLife, so I think most players have injury issues in that stadium. Would I take a chance on a third for him at this point? Yeah, 100%. Go and do it. Bring him in. Judon's on a contract year, and he said he was comfortable with that when he joined, right? So okay, you can't shop him after this year, if you really, really want. But I would also say if we're starting to dial up more pressure, and you put Judon and how does he pronounce his name? Ojulari?
Ojulari, yeah.
That's it, yeah. You put them two in a nice blitz front. Oh, yeah, all right, I'll take that. Because I think that genuinely, we in the position that we're in at the moment, apart from our defense, who are we scared about playing? Like, I just assume to put a point against anybody. So
absolutely, and I think that's probably something people are being overly dramatic about, like you've referred to. We're 6-3, so your sack count doesn't ultimately matter that much. Yeah, those things help make games feel more comfortable, and probably put the opposition on the back foot a little bit. But there's not many, like you just said then, there's not many teams that I think I'd come up against and be like, we have zero chance whatsoever.
The thing is, right, do you like, I guess the really, really simple question is, do you want to win the division and then go out first round in the playoffs? At this stage, you'd go, well, no, absolutely not, because actually I fancy our chances against anybody on our day if we can start being a little bit more defensively solid. So now we're in a round where we're 6-3 on the verge of sweeping the entire division, right? Because I think it's fair to say, boys, if we beat the Saints this week, when we've got one more game against the Panthers to sweep the entire division, right? That's a statement, right? That's a statement to say, actually, do you know what it is? We haven't gone full win now. We've certainly had a goal. We went and got the quarterback, blah, blah, blah. So at this point, well, lads, I mean, pretty much all of our draft class from this year has hardly taken the field anyway. So shopping a third on Ojulari to give us a little bit of a different dimension, give it just rubbing a little bit more seasoning onto that prime bit of beef that we've got. Yeah. Lads, I mean, at this point you go, well, what's the risk if you're 4-4 or whatever, if it's on a knife edge, okay, don't waste the capital. But for me, if they're going to shop somebody who's got 6 sacks already all season, and to be fair to Liam's point, I think 2 or 3 of those 6 sacks were in that mad game. I can't remember which, but
still got them though. Still got them.
Oh, 100%. But then again, and you look at our schedule, this is an opportunity to really make a run at it. Now, I'm not saying we'll make a run at the Super Bowl, but hell, lads, we end up, at the NFC Championship game. This is a very, very different season to what we walked into. And I just kind of go, look, I'm not asking you to go full win now, but it ain't gonna hurt.
No, absolutely not. Just a quick jump into the comments from Paul, of course, a regular. The Lions are the only team that scare me in the NFC South, and it's a fair point. They are the one to watch, but if it comes down to a final game and it's you and them, you're not gonna be nervous on the last chance. It's about getting that far. So
playoff
exactly,
football.
and also just to compliment us a little bit, they still ship some points. Yeah, they score a bag, but they ship some points as well. And our offense is arguably not even arguably, but our best asset. So if we want to shoot out with someone, we'll have a shootout with someone.
Playoff football is different. It just is, whether you like it or not, and form does go out the window. And it's who, it's who breaks first, and if we think about, and obviously I'm in kind of, you've set me off now. I'm sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned. But just say, for example, right, in the very unlikely event it happens, you get to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Well, we only lost them by 1 point.
Yeah.
Like, again, you terrified of that? So what? Like, all I'm saying is that it shouldn't be about who scares you. Like we are the architects of our own demise here. Do you know what I mean? And that's that's we've seen it so many times. It's us that loses us games, not the opposition.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah. It is. Just quick jump in the comments again. Jimmy, thank you for joining us. Oh, there we go. We just got another one. And we have improved since the Chiefs game, just referencing Mark's point there, significantly. Admittedly, they turn it on for the playoffs because that's how they roll, but absolutely. Christie's back. Another motivating Monday. It is indeed. Oh, yeah. We're getting kind of used to this now, so the L's are going to hit hard if they do ever come. Matt in here just saying the Giants want a 2025 third. It's not bad going.
We don't have one. I didn't realize we don't have one.
So we'd have to play ball a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah. I think it'd be worth a punt at something. Sure, we could throw something together. I just had a quick look, and only one of his sacks was in. I think it was the Cleveland game. I think where he got 8, right. And only one of them was in that game. Okay. So he's got 5 spread out everywhere else, which is quite good. So he's a Georgia guy and a former Bulldog. So that usually sweetens things a little bit when he's coming back to his hometown. So you might fancy that, I think.
Of course, everybody. This is very hypothetical. We had to dip into it. It's very likely that we will wake up on Wednesday morning and nothing will have happened. But here we are. We can dream. Yeah.
It was signed for somebody
just
Titans totally or something. Well, great. Yeah.
Love, just to point out, whilst I've got the opportunity, Mark has just flipped his cap around, and Liam is wearing some unbelievable Sundays merch as well. So representing with the same cap. The new gear. It's smart.
Oh, yeah, it's a good job you didn't put yours on.
I know, yeah.
Right, little bit of a diversion into the defense specifically before we move on. We're still not there. We have been better, but we're still not there. One man that I can't discredit at all is Grady Jarrett. We were without him for the best part of last season, or all of last season. And yes, it was a dysfunctional season, so it's probably a bad pool of games to use as a representation. However, that man has been ridiculous this season. I put him down to be our defensive player of the year, but I emphasize that I didn't think his numbers would be great. I just thought he'd be the glue and that solidity that makes us look better. But he's just been doing it all. He's literally just been doing it all. He's got half the sacks. So what's going wrong? Well, not wrong. What's going right there for him?
Well, I mean, you have to. I think Grady was a 4th or 5th round pick originally, if I remember rightly.
Fourth, I think.
And I'm pretty sure he came into the team. Liam, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on this one. No offense, Dan.
Wow.
But he came into the team when we had Adrian Claiborne and Dontari Poe and all of those guys, and he's, he learned off some animals, right? Like he was, and I think, one thing that you can never discredit is you're never going to get anything less than 110% from Grady. And I it still spins me out of, you look at that man and you go, how isn't everyone as terrified of that man as I am? Because he's just a monster. And that was one of the reasons that I thought that they really liked Rook, is because I think he was a similar build. And if I remember rightly as well, when we drafted Grady, it was a similar story of, he was raw, but his hands needed work and all of that sort of stuff. And I think what you're seeing is the next kind of the next prototype of what they wanted, obviously, Rook to grow into, right? So you got to give the man his flowers, and that's why I said at the beginning of the show, I am so happy that they've obviously seen that he wasn't quite 100%. I can't remember what it was. They took it off. I think was it hamstring or something like that.
I think Grady was it? Yeah. Was it Achilles?
I mean, that man must have a hamstring like a fillet steak. But I guess, for me, it's good that we've got a little bit of strength and depth, even with Rook on IR, to go, look, we can take him off. It is imperative that he's there next week. So, just don't take the risk. And I think if that is 2 years ago, when, it was a dogfight and it was horrible to watch, Grady goes back on that field and then, does himself a misjustice. So, all kudos to the man, because, he's a shining example.
Yeah, he's been good for us, just throughout, hasn't he? I mean, obviously he went so low in the draft because he was, according to the media, he's massively undersized. Which is
terrifying.
Not his muscle mass, is just his height, because he's only 6 foot, which a lot of the defensive tackle, even the defensive tackles now, some of the whatever figures called it, Colts is about 6'9", isn't it, or something ridiculous. He was just undersized, which they felt like he couldn't just generate with his arms. He couldn't do a pass rush role in the NFL, but he's obviously adapted his game to get leverage by being lower than a lot of the people he's coming up against. So he's 6'5". Even the guards are usually 6'3", 6'4". Yeah. He's sort of going under them almost, and just bull rushing the center out of them, and he can't. It's hard when there's a little powerhouse like that with the legs like tree trunks just stomping towards you. It's like, what you're gonna.
Because he's not a bona fide nose tackle.
Not at all. No.
And that's where, that your nose tackle tends to be where you would imagine most of the I guess the leadership would come from the defensive line. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because certainly on other teams, you've seen that main big guy being the one that is constantly the battering ram. And Grady's just, made that role of not necessarily a nose, but I can play pretty much all 3 points or 4 points across the line if I have to.
Yeah. He can play defensive end with ease.
Yeah.
It's impressive. He went in the same draft as Beasley did Grady. So obviously when we got them two, we thought we got this solid guy, then this unbelievable guy, and then turns out that kind of flipped quite quickly. but yeah, he's proving that he delivered for a very, very short period of time, but it was great fun. But yeah, he's great. He's just been so consistent for us, and he's just a wrecking ball on near enough every play, and even when he's not getting to the quarterback or whatever. He's just
causing problems,
causing some havoc for somebody that just thinks, I just can't be holding this guy back all game. It must be awful to experience coming up against him on every play.
And one thing, just before we move off the defense, just one thing to note from that Judon conversation. There've been so many times where I've seen Judon, and I certainly wouldn't say it's lack of effort, but I would say that I do think that injury has probably taken a little bit off his lower power, right? But even still, the amount of times where I've seen him in the face of the quarterback, trying to block passes, I do get the criticism because you want somebody in that position to be really pushing to hit the quarterback, but I'm still not quite there of that. I think it was a bad move, and I think that he is putting in enough effort for me to still be in, when that ball is snapped, I'm looking for red sleeves.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And
the red sleeves just look absolutely mint in the Falcons jersey, by the way. Might I add, they just look tasty.
I did have a shout out on the defense as well, actually.
Yeah.
For like somebody I think was good certainly in this game and been good, pretty good throughout the season for the low expectations that he kind of carries. But D. Alford, I think, has been a very good player. He's always there. He's always on screen, like making some kind of play every single game. He makes a few good plays. Also, he's not perfect. Obviously, we didn't expect any kind of production from him really because he kind of like came from nowhere, didn't he? I don't even was he undrafted or something? I don't even know where he appeared from, to be honest, for us. But whether we signed him from someone else or whether he was undrafted, but he stepped in and had to play a role. If you remember when he came into the team, he was in as a temporary thing, and then he was gonna step back out because we had injuries at the time. But he's still there. He's still starting on that defense even now. So he's held his own, hasn't he? I think he's done well.
Yeah. Go on, Mike. You look like you've been doing some research then.
I am. I couldn't remember where
I've sort of been popping up. I just can't remember where he came from.
Are we all looking at the same time?
No, I don't think so.
First one to find D. Alford's career.
Oh, there we go. I found it. That didn't take very long. There's not much of one. He came from the CFL in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Tusculum Pioneers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was his college team. And then he went to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for a season. And then over to us.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's probably why I didn't know where he came from. I was like,
we've made a little bit of a habit of picking up these gems. Like again, like Nate Lamon, for example. I mean, how much of a difference has he made? And I think he was CFL as well, if I remember rightly.
Was he? I mean, that's some good pickups if because they virtually carry no. They're not going to be expecting a world of these guys, so they're just looking for any way into the NFL they'll take. So it's great.
Right. One tiny little rant just for everyone on social media that was coming in our comments saying, you beat the Cowboys, quiet down. You can only beat the teams that you're playing. You can literally only beat the team that you're against that week. If we lost to them, you would have absolutely tated us, but we beat them, so it's only the Cowboys. We've got 6 wins on the board. Most of those people that were commenting are Panthers and Saints fans and stuff like that. Keep down. Boring. And on that beautiful note, it is hate week now. But there's been a lot going on in the division, so I think we're going to cluster it up a little bit. Allen's been sacked today.
Yeah.
The Bucs play the Chiefs in 4 or 5 hours' time.
Mm.
The Saints are 2-7, and we play them next. So, boys, where do you want to start? Because we're going to do all 4. Liam, choose a topic.
I mean, we'll also go with let's say the Saints very likely lose to the Chiefs. I mean, I can't see. Sorry, the Bucks very likely lose to the Chiefs, not Saints, obviously. I mean, they would too. But that, I mean, you never know with the Bucks. They've been a bit hit and miss, but with their weapons out, I can't see them overcoming the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So, the Saints look, obviously they're buried. The Panthers beat them, but still they're buried now. The Bucks are, going to be on what are they now? 4 and what are they right now? The Bucks, thingy wise, yeah.
They were.
Are they 4 and 4?
4 and
are they
4?
Are they 4 and 4? So I thought so. So they're going to go to being below 500 if they assuming that they lose.
Yeah.
That puts us in a good position.
It
and
really does.
We've got, let's say, I mean, I don't jinx or anything, but a game that we should be definitely winning next. If we got into 7 and 4, that looks pretty good at this point of the season.
It does. It's the biggest positive I've ever seen so far. So I'm not going to say a word.
Realistically, we've got the Broncos, and who's after that? The Vikings, or is it?
Got Vikings,
Chargers, Vikings, and Chargers at some point in one of them, whichever order it's in.
Yeah,
I think we should be beating the Saints. The Broncos we should be beating. The Chargers, look, it hit and miss, but mainly miss. I mean, you wouldn't even have to look at the rest of the games.
You want a clean sweep? You think we win the lot?
them three teams. I mean, I'd be surprised if we didn't beat all 3 of those teams. Very surprised.
I think Broncos, Chargers, Vikings is the worst 3 games that we have. And you'd kind of look at all 3 of those and go, well, if they're the worst 3 games that we've got, I genuinely think we do have a shout. Apart from that, Giants, Commanders, Panthers, come on.
Yeah, I think Washington and the Vikings are obviously threats to us. Outside of those 2, we should be winning them all.
I just think the Broncos have got a very, very, very strong defense.
They have, but they've also got a questionable offense, to say the least.
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, that's almost the game that worries me more, right? Because I don't want to be looking at these teams going, they've got a good defense, but they've got a questionable offense, and it ends up being another shootout. It's
yeah,
it's true, but I fancy Kirk over Bo Nix in a shootout.
Oh,
right now.
You hope so, but you never know.
But what I'm still not there with yet is trusting that defense against. Well, I mean, who have we had? Who have we had as an opponent where we gone? Oh well, we trust the defense here. I mean, even the Panthers. I mean, I know it was but there were times in that game where I was like, oh, good Lord, it's going to happen again. So I get what you're saying, but I'm just I'm not taking anything for granted right now.
Oh no, I'm saying it could be a competitive game, but I would say if you were going to pick a winner, we'll be the favourite in that game for the bookies and so on, won't we? I would imagine. I think we'll be the favourite in every game apart from the Vikings and Commanders. I think. From a media perspective.
I'd also argue that you'd be hoping by the Commanders week. I forgot what week it is. My mind's just gone blank.
It's second to last that one.
Game, isn't it? Yeah. By then, you're hoping you're done in the division anyway. So the game ultimately isn't really that vital. Obviously, it's going to potentially still affect the seeding at that point because those 2 games, but finishing the season on the Panthers after that, Abby, Penix will be playing by then.
Oh,
whoa!
Don't flip me.
We're facing what the well, obviously this is as of right now, but the Saints, the Panthers, the Giants, and the Raiders, which are 4 of the teams we got to play, they're all 2-7 right now.
Yeah,
that's 4 2-7 teams that we got to play. That's pretty. We should be beating 2-7 teams. Obviously, we know with the Falcons and things happen, but we should be beating 2-7 teams.
Yeah,
that's 4 wins, and we're already on 6. That's 10 if you can count.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
Thanks for
that's double figures if you can count.
New segment, maths with Liam.
Maths with Liam. I am 10. It contains 2 digits. We don't often see 2 digits in the win column.
No, that's very true. Yeah. It's usually in the other column.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, let's take stock for a second, boys. You know, we watched those first 2 games, and we were like, there might be trouble ahead, boys. And you know, to be sitting here 6-3, going offense, absolutely no worries about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's turned on its head, right? Because we limited the Steelers that game to, what was it, like 5 field goals or something? So it's almost weird how far we've come in them in those 9 games. So, you know, I think we, as I said earlier on, I don't think we should necessarily be scared of anybody. And fantastic maths, Liam, to say that, you know, realistically, you know, we should be a 10-win team regardless at this point of the season. I mean, that's it's borderline fairy tale for us.
It's crazy.
It is. I mean, I was very audacious pre-season. I think I had us down for 14-3 or 13-4, which might be a little bit of an exaggeration. But I called it, so I'm sticking to my guns until the season comes.
We'll need to go back and watch the show and see what we all predicted, because I can't remember.
I kept a tick list.
Yeah, I think I had 12 wins.
Right, not that you can see my phone because of the brightness. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I had us losing against Philly, the Chiefs, the Raiders, and New York Giants randomly because I thought we'd throw a game in the season. So I'm not on for the games, but win-wise, I'm actually bang on right now.
Okay.
Heard it here first.
I think it is worth noting as well. Don't get me wrong. I know they've just sacked their head coach, but as we look ahead to visiting this filthy, horrible organization down the road, I think it's worth noting that there is the potential for a bit of bounce back from this team, which we can't underestimate.
Yeah.
However, that locker room, and I don't know whether anybody's seen the video after the Panthers game.
No.
Who's that lineman? The Cam Jordan. I was going to say a horrible name then. He just walked away, like didn't even go to the locker room, and Derek Carr had to go and like chase after him because he's a massive child. And it was pathetic. It was really was. And you kind of look at that organization now and you go, look, you know, it's an aging roster. They're in. I mean, I keep saying this every year. They're in cap hell, but I mean, it never seems to make any difference somehow. And you know, this is the time. You know, this is the time to really, you know, hammer the nail in. And you know, I just can't help but, you know, can't shake the feeling that we're going to see Bill Belichick in a Saints uniform, which would truly also put the nail in the coffin of how much I hate that man too.
So that would be the 2 worst things on planet Earth.
Well, Yeah, I mean, if Bill's last couple of years in New England were anything to go by, and all of our kind of collective feelings of why we didn't want him in Atlanta, that could go marvelously well as well.
Very true.
So be careful what you wish for. But I think that we need to be very, very aware that they're a wounded animal at the moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going into their stadium.
Back against the wall, sort of.
I just
bounce.
Well, obviously, it's not. I mean, I think it's the special teams coordinator.
Yeah, it is.
Like that. So, there is the potential there for it to be much more the same. But there's also the potential there for they'll try new stuff. I mean, it's. I just think it feels almost like a banana skin because they're 2-7. They know that Rattler's not the answer. They've found that out pretty quickly, right? But Derek Carr, he did have a little bit of he did have a good go against us. I can't imagine Olave is going to make the game this week, which is marvelous because he's the one that I'm always worried about. Yeah. So I think it feels like such a winnable, great opportunity of a game. I don't want us to roll in there thinking this is going to be easy because one thing that you can say for that horrid group of individuals is that they do tend to up the game for hate week.
Yeah, they love to hate us. They love to hate us, and if history is anything to go by, they in recent times have had the upper hand. So it's always something you've got to consider. Regardless of form, like you said, it kind of goes out of the window for these kinds of games. It's a little bit irrelevant.
Definitely with the rival games. I'm really hoping. I know they mentioned him potentially coming back against the Cowboys, but he didn't. That Dolman's supposed to be back next week.
Yeah.
Supposedly, I don't know. He was supposedly in line to make this week. So if he was in line to make this week, I'm hopeful that he will make next week. I think he'd be a very good addition. I think that centre position's been a bit of a struggle. I think Newsell's, done what he can, but he's struggled quite a lot. He's got a few penalties and just mistakes that, probably cost us on a few of those sacks, certainly in the middle. I think Dolman, while Dolman's, I'm not going to say he's a superb centre or anything, he's been solid enough for us. Yeah, that he'll be better than Newsell, and it'd be good to have him back for that game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we kind of just summarised everything in one brief chat. Then we kind of just joined them all together. Just so we stay on the topic of the division a little bit. This is the first time ever, I think, that I've actually wanted the Chiefs to win a football game, and I want them to win big as well. So we'll see how that goes. Go on.
Yeah, I don't really subscribe to the hate for the Chiefs. Like they're the next, they're the next dynasty, if you will, and being like saying it years. Oh, when Kelsey, when Kelsey's finished, then they'll be back to being mediocre. And kind of the geezer's just special. Do you know what I mean? And he's and I think, I mean, don't get us wrong. I think his missus is one of the most annoying human beings on God's clean earth. But that's got nothing to do.
Lord, we're going to get cancelled.
Well, I just think she was annoying. I'm not being nasty to her. She's just cheers. But I kind of go. I just don't. I don't subscribe to the hate of the Chiefs. I do think that they are a lesser team than what they have been over previous years. But even when even when you're not playing well, you're still leading the entire AFC. And you kind of go, like, lads, come on. Like, that's a pretty unbelievable place to be. And even Andy Reid, like I used to listen to Bill Belichick and go, my word, I would give anything for you to just spontaneously burst into flames right now. But with Andy Reid, I don't get that. He's like Colonel Sanders. He's a huge guy with a massive tack, and he can scheme anything. Like so.
Yeah. He's a genius.
It's unbelievable. So yes, I mean, I think it's going to be bad for the Bucs tonight, and I think from what happened this week with the Saints and the Panthers, I think it was like one of the first times that that a losing team were like up on every single stat, yet somehow managed to lose, and that is a hell of a Falconsy record, that, boys. I'm not going to lie. So, so you've got the Saints throwing it away against Carolina, and you've got a very weaponless Bucs team heading into quite a difficult period of fixtures, because I'm sure they've got the Ravens coming up soon as well. Then from my perspective, you kind of go, look, just keep doing what we're doing. Let's, it's worked so far. Yeah. And as Liam's absolutely unbelievable mathematics has pointed out, we are almost in on the verge of a double-digit win season.
Biblical outcome and biblical maths, unbelievable stuff. And just to caveat a little bit, the Chiefs, it's just like love to hate sort of thing. I don't actually have anything against any individual. It's more just when someone's winning so consistently, it's so frustrating to watch, especially when you've not been blessed with that kind of luxury. That's literally all it is. I don't even have a problem with the Taylor Swift stuff. I genuinely don't. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm into a bit of pop culture, so I'm game for all that stuff. But
you kind of go like where the Chiefs are concerned. Like they're not hugely dislikable, I think is almost the problem, right? So you kind of go like they keep winning, and they keep winning when they're not even playing that well. And like I almost sit back and go, like if you bear in mind, guys, and it was not that long ago, like teams passed on Patrick Mahomes to draft Mitch Trubisky, and like and you kind of go, guys, it wasn't like Patrick Mahomes was like this magical number one pick. He wasn't, What do the Chiefs look like without Andy Reid? I think is the different question. Yeah. I think that's the question that nobody really seems to ask as much as they probably should for me. So I hope the Chiefs absolutely smash the Bucs.
Yeah, they've just been but they're in like how many big injuries they've had to see. It's not even the roster without the injuries. The kind of people saying, "Oh, it's not that good" and whatever. But now with the injuries, and they're still performing. Like they lost 4 starters from the offense for the season, and they're still probably going to be 7-0. So 7-0 already, going to be 8-0, maybe if you win. That's pretty crazy.
It is. It's remarkable. Sorry, I just want to cancel someone in the comments. I have to get this up. There we go. I watch football to watch football, not see Taylor. Well, that's at your discretion, mate. But if the Swifties come for you, go for that man right there.
She's not. She's not singing at halftime in every game. Like it's just, it's just unfortunately she's really famous. Like so, what are you gonna do? She's also.
It's been an absolute. Go on.
I was going to say she's also piping one of the best tight ends I've had a grace of football field. So you can't.
Family
what
show.
What are you going to do? Like
no swearing, but profanities like that are okay. I don't know where the line.
Yeah, listen, I'm just getting creative with it, Danny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it. I respect the misdirection there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've not actually hated on the Saints as much as we probably could have, but that's because they're down in the mud and we just got to leave them doing what they're doing at the moment in time.
It's lovely.
It is. It's blissful. But to summarise, we know it's a one-off game and anything can happen. So if anyone's clipping this, don't come back for us on Sunday when we're back against the wall.
You just gotta keep doing, and I think if you listen to Raheem's sort of end of game sort of locker room speeches and stuff, it's all very much the same sort of theme. We do what we do, where we're resilience, and it doesn't really feel like they're doing anything other than just literally going week to week, and that is precisely what the outlook that we need to have as fans as well. Is that you're 6-3, it's great, right? But things can turn ugly quickly. So let's just enjoy the misery down the road, because that is wonderful, and I am like everyone else wallowing in it. But when it comes to hate week, like I say, you got to keep your foot on their throats.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit of news, because Raheem has literally been having his press conference whilst we've been doing this. Grady Jarrett, Achilles, is day-to-day. Drake London, hip, day-to-day. And Troy Anderson was close last week, and therefore this should be the turning point where he comes back. So, that's our stance at the moment in time. Hopefully.
Anything on AJ?
Nothing about AJ, weirdly. Unless that injury was a bit of nothing and he just came off for a few snaps, but
possibly.
Christie's just said we are 2 wins away from breaking the 7-win curse. Absolutely.
Surely.
Small wins, boys.
Isn't it so sad that that's our primary goal at the minute? Let's break that, and then from there we'll take it week by week instead. It's going to be absolutely bliss.
Progression, right?
That's what I wanted.
Any other business, chaps? Anything you want to bring up before we wrap up the show?
No, I think we just gotta roll on to Sunday now.
Roll on to Sunday.
I think we all just need to collectively tip the hat to Saquon Barkley this weekend.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Unreal. I've not been watching NFL as long as you boys, but I've not seen anyone do a reverse hurdle before.
I don't think I've seen it.
I'd love to. If anyone's seen another, send it to me, please. But I have never seen a reverse hurdle, and it wasn't even in error. It was just executed so nicely.
Oh, it was beautiful.
And it was after a juke and a spin move that were also great.
Yeah. Ridiculous stuff. But they're the players that draw you into the sport. Christie's just said, redirection. She'll be in New Orleans on Friday.
Oh, wow.
Firstly, sorry about that. Secondly, I hope you get to see her win. Sorry, Mark, I interjected.
No, it's so good. I was just, I think one thing of note that I've noticed over the past couple of weeks, which I thought was worthy of a slight discussion. We drafted Bijan at 8, and we're starting to utilize him exactly how we should be. And there was a couple of years that kind of went by when you seen the likes of these kind of bigger name running backs who'd been drafted and had a little bit of injury problems, and not like, oh, we're not going to pay him. Like Josh Jacobs is another great example, right? And I think what you're seeing now is the importance of, I'm not saying that you have to pay them a gazillion dollars contract, but what Henry and Saquon and Josh Jacobs are doing right now show that you shouldn't just be drafting young guys at running back to run them into the floor. And ironically, you could say, well, that's exactly what the Titans did with Derrick Henry, and probably one of the reasons that he spent so long on the injury table, right? And I think you could say the same about Giants and Saquon. But actually, the way that I feel like we're approaching this is that we're approaching this running back room, especially with with our two guys, in completely the right way.
Yeah.
You're not trying to use one guy to send everything through. You're using Bijan on those quick routes, or you're using Bijan on those runs where you can give him a little bit of a gap to get him away.
Yeah.
And using Tyler exactly as he should be used as well. So I just wanted to kind of mention that, because when you think about the running back conversation, kind of go, what do we need to do to prolong that? Because Bijan's not going to get worse. Bijan will probably have to bulk up a little bit as he gets a little bit older for his muscles to take the strain.
Yeah.
But the vision that man has, I can genuinely see Bijan being, an NFL running back in 10 years' time. And I hope it's with us, but obviously, times do tend to change. So I just think it was worth noting, because that was such a big conversation point for a couple of years. Don't pay them, don't pay them, don't pay them. Well, you look at the Ravens, you look at Green Bay, and you look at the Eagles. Well, those teams are reaping the rewards. And if I'm the Giants right now, sorry, I'm not even sure who the Giants running back is.
Singletary? Did they get him?
Well, that's kind of precisely my point. I've got no idea. And if it is, I've not seen many headlines about Singletary, that's for sure. So
Singletary,
I just
Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Eric Gray, according to
I have no idea. I have no idea who those people are. But then you see Saquon going to the Eagles at whatever age he's doing it, and jumping over fully grown men who are in midair backwards. Like, come on. Like, it's So I just thought that was worth mentioning.
Yeah. And Derrick Henry's been just ridiculous what he's doing. He's still an absolute tank of a human being.
Yeah.
And his style is to take hits, essentially, because he's not a jukey kind of guy, and maybe people miss kind of guy. He's a go through you kind of guy, isn't he? And he's just like, he shows that obviously people are wary about running backs and stuff, which I could understand, but maybe they've got a bit more longevity than people give them credit for sometimes, because he was an Alabama product, and they tend to run running backs into the ground a little bit. And he
Gary
then
comes with his Alabama bias.
Well, no, I'm saying they're a very run heavy team, aren't they? So like people tend to avoid them sometimes, but obviously a lot of the guys in the league are still from there. But he's just then went on to the Titans, who ran him into the ground some more, because he was by far their best player for a long time, and now he's still going strong, and he's still one of the best running backs in the league at the Ravens. So he's.
And you'd argue, like, of all the running back rooms to go into in the NFL, like if you're a fantasy football player and you've drafted any Ravens running back over the past 4 years, it's been a pointless exercise because J.K. Dobbins has been injured a gazillion times. Gus Edwards, God bless him, he's just like a workhorse. Like I'm sure I drafted another 2 during that time, and every one of them has been out by game 3. So you just kind of go, again, round peg, round hole. The Ravens went out there and went, we need somebody a bit more durable. And I just think I just think it was worth mentioning, because it is such a special position when you've got a special player. Who can do those special things. And Saquon this week, like I said, I think he's like 27. Like, bro, I couldn't have done that at 17. Now I'm 27. So, and Saquon's not a small guy. So that was definitely the highlight for the week. That was this week's Jaden Daniels Hail Mary. Like,
It was.
Yeah, it was. That was better. That was better.
Yeah. Oh, 1000%. Yeah. Because the Jaden Daniels Hail Mary was awful. But it's
nice.
one item of any other business which we don't have to spend very long on it. But did anybody else see DJ Moore this week in the Chicago game? Caleb Williams turned into sort of prime Marcus Mariota and just started just running around like kept looking up the field and going nope, and then running around some more, and to the point where DJ Moore just walked off the field, but he didn't walk off the field like after Caleb had thrown the ball, like he just
he just walked off.
DJ Moore was on the right hand side of the field, and Caleb came over that side and then spun and then went to their side of the field, and DJ Moore just walked off.
I'll have to see that. I've not seen it. That's quality.
That is a real statement of I'm out. I'm
done. I'm done with this.
So I didn't know if anybody else had seen it. If I find the reel, I'll send you it. But it's just some crazy things. I did expect the Bears to be better, to be honest with you, but I still suspect it's more of a coaching thing than anything else there. But yeah, man, just to watch a receiver, just go
I'm done.
And I'm pretty sure he walked off into the opposition sideline as well. Like, it wasn't like he was like,
he really didn't want to be there.
What?
I'll find it for you and I'll send you. It was crazy.
Sorry, we did miss a play of the game because it was Thursday night football. Wilson's catch, the whole
he did like the Air Jordan symbol.
Yeah, he literally did. He literally did Air Jordan. It was absolutely bonkers. I don't even know how your hand can do that. So that was crazy stuff as well.
I mean, if the ball's like spun how it's supposed to be, like you're going to have a pretty like strong hand to catch the tip of that ball in the palm of your hand. Coming at you full pelt. So I mean, again, you know how much I love wallowing in Aaron Rodgers' misery, but it was a very, very special catch.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, ladies and gents, just as Maggie comes in and says, hey, we're saying bye. Thank you all for watching. It is Hate Week. And we will be back next Monday with our 100th episode, which is absolutely insane. We've even got that far. I could not tell you what we were talking about at the very beginning. I can barely talk about football now, so I definitely couldn't talk about football 4.5 years ago. So I don't know how I was doing this. But here we are. Thank you all for watching. Mark, can you give them the rundown, please?
Guys, you can watch this video of the podcast back on all of your social platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the Tube of Views. You can also watch it back there as well. But if you're a little bit like me and you like to listen to podcasts in the car when you're driving, then we are available on all of the podcast platforms. You can get us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.
Love to see it every single time. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you next week. Cue outro music.